Young women have been excluded in decision-making processes due to fear of violence. Both in politics and within their homes, young women are victims of violence. Salibonani, greetings and welcome to the Girls Table podcast. So in our podcast today, we want to talk about politics being the primary threat to peace. I am joined by Tapiwanashe Chiriga, who is an advocacy officer at Heal Zimbabwe Trust. So in my reading, ngibale ukuthi politics is the primary threat to peace and key trigger to violence. So umbuzo wami wokuqala Tapiwa yikuthi, how is politics a threat to peace and a key trigger to violence in Zimbabwe? Njalo kuthi ukuthini ukuthi sithi politics is a threat to peace and a key trigger to violence? Over to you, Tapiwanashe.
While Zimbabweans face violence for various reasons every day, politicians and political interests remain a significant cause for the physical, psychological, and structural violence that we witness in our communities. This is because the world over, politics is ubiquitous and inevitable, and the situation is worsened here in Zimbabwe, where political contestation and intolerance is an unending cycle that manifests itself in many facets of our everyday lives and the everyday lives of the ordinary men and women in the street and the village. Political intolerance and political interest determine socio-economic structures of society, leading to conflict and in some instances violence. Take for instance a community where food aid distribution is done on the basis of narrow partisan political interests. Take for example the violence in mining communities where political elites control almost everything there. So to answer your question, Beke, yes, in our politically charged environments and highly politicized society, politics is a key trigger to physical, social, and structural violence.
Thank you so much, Tapiwa. Tapiwa makes it clear how politics affects us in our everyday life and how is it a primary threat to peace. So my next question would be, how does the absence of independence and impartiality of the judiciary affect peace in Zimbabwe?
An independent, efficient, and impartial judiciary is a key and vital cog of any society that aspires to see not only peace, but true positive peace in its fullness. When national institutions are weak, when they are captured, when they are ineffective and inefficient in protecting the rights of the weak, the rights of the vulnerable, the people will lack confidence in such institutions, and instead they will choose to take the law into their own hands, and the society will easily and inevitably so descend into lawlessness and chaos. One of the 8 pillars of positive peace is the acceptance and respect for the rights of others. When the judiciary is not independent, when it is not impartial, there will be no protection of human rights, and there will be no equal treatment before the law. And such a society cannot be described as peaceful. Strong institutions, including the judiciary, must anchor societies. And in Zimbabwe, if we are to climb the ladder on the Global Peace Index and any other index that measures peacefulness in the world, and if we are to truly experience positive peace, we must strengthen the independence of our judiciary and ensure that it is impartial and it is effective. Our judiciary system and justice system in its entirety must have the confidence of the ordinary teenager in moods down there. It must have the confidence of the elderly malume in Cholocho and Omama in Wubi, who has no friends and relatives in higher offices, must trust the judiciary to protect their rights, just as it would protect the rights of a rich man in Harare. That is the essence of an equal, democratic, and peaceful Zimbabwe.
Thank you so much, Chiriga. So I let me quote you on your words. Uchiriga uti, when the judiciary is not independent, there is no protection of human rights, and there will be no equal treatment before the law, and such a society cannot be described as peaceful. So kuchukuthi, it's important to have a judiciary that is independent, that protects human rights abantu, so that kube lokuthula. Umbuzo wami olandelayo uthi wona, how does the threat to personal security significantly hinder citizens' ability to exercise their fundamental freedoms, including the right to vote.
Personal security itself is a fundamental right that is protected by Section 52 of our Constitution. It is also protected by Article 3 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and also Article 9 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Any threat to that right stands directly in the way of the realization and exercise of many other rights an individual or even collective communities may seek to enjoy. We have seen in many instances that violence and threats of violence, whether from the state, from private individuals, and even from organizations, how it has hindered people from freely expressing themselves and even contributing to critical national discourse, including during parliamentary public hearings. I'm sure we have seen what happened with the PVO bill hearings. We have seen as a country the gory and dark effects of violence during election times, which has forced many people to not freely exercise their right to vote, casting serious doubts on the credibility of our national processes. We must as a country come together to end violence and make peace and respect for human rights the new normal.
Thank you so much, Chiriga. Uti violence hinders freedom of expression. Nxa kuyile violence, people are not able to exercise their democratic rights. Umbuzo wami wokugcina ngothi wona, how can young women harness their collective power as the true source of the authority to govern?
Young women must continue to equip and empower themselves and each other with knowledge through civic education as well as constitutional and human rights literacy. They must organize more than they agonize. And it is important to strategize on how to break existing barriers and also building on the successes of the past, capitalizing on the efforts of the present, and shaping the hope of the future. Emerging young women leaders must understand that those who are in power today are there at their mercy and behest. It's them, not those in offices, who hold the power, and they must wield it to the fullest extent. Citizen agency is the bedrock of any democracy, and young women must be prepared to be the face of the new generation of active, informed, and effective citizen agents.
Thank you so much, Chiriga. Sifundo kunenge from this conversation with you. Uthe yena young women should continue to empower themselves with knowledge. Wasesithi they must organize more than they agonize. From me, your host, Nyabonga Chiriga, for making time to educate us. Thank you so much, Balaleli, for staying with us until the end of this podcast. Please don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. Who X it's table_girls. Who Facebook is the girls table. Who Instagram the.girls table. And we also have a YouTube channel. Hambuye with the girls table. Uphinde ucheke le website yethu www.thegirlstable.org. Please, let's make sure that we assist in making sure ukuthi abantu abangomama actively participate in decision-making processes, in peace-building efforts, ngoba bona yibo aba-affected kakhulu nge-political violence. Until next time, thank you so much, Balaleli. Thank you so much, Chiriga.